Welcome to Life Studied. It's my uh, time to get together with my good friend Mairin-taj who is a professional artist and figure model. And we talk about art and life while I draw and she poses. Um, so, Mairin-taj, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm
Good,
alright.
good.
It's our time for a little art nerd chin wag.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this will be the episode for December.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, the nights are long, days are short, and maybe this show will help you get through that. We are here in downtown Lancaster, PA, at the art store Curio, Curio, who have graciously agreed to host us here, which is awesome. I put a link in the description for their website. If you're shopping for the holidays, honestly, like stop ordering art supplies on Amazon
Yes.
and check out Curio. It's run by a couple who are both artists, and they're both awesome. And if you call them and say, I want to do this kind of art and I have no idea what to get, they're the type to steer you in the right direction without trying to like milk you and get every nickel out of you. So, and they also have excuse me, I'm just getting over losing my voice. They have a new art print you mentioned in the last show.
That's right.
So check that out. They're very, very good people, and it's
They
a small
actually
business.
designed it together.
That's cool.
Yeah, they designed it together. It's man, I'm blanking on but it has like a little slogan and it's up. It's like this really beautiful print, black and white print.
They're just awesome. So, and if you're in anywhere near Lancaster, you just come to the shop. It's just a beautiful little shop. Downtown Lancaster is really pleasant. Come and get lunch or dinner and stop by and buy some art supplies.
Yes.
And also the folks at Blackwing also send us cool pencils and
which we love.
which we very much love. Yeah. I mean, I connected with them by just like telling them how much I love them.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, fine, dude, enough. So yeah, thank you to both of them for making this show happen, and thank you to you patrons.
Yes.
Yes, some of you may not be patrons, and we understand that. Not everybody that watches the show is a patron. Just be aware that if not for the patrons of the show, there wouldn't be a show. So if you enjoy this show, check out my Patreon or Mairin-taj's. Both will be linked in the bio. Mairin-taj also offers tons of instructional art videos, a little bit of modeling resources. So if you're sort of a more fine art oriented and you want a place to both watch someone draw, see how they draw, and then have inspiration to draw yourself, her Patreon's pretty awesome. And mine's okay too.
Yours is great.
Thank
Yours
you.
has all the cool stuff.
No. Anyway, so today, what we normally do is get together once a month, talk and draw. Mairin-taj is going to handle the timing of her poses. So if you hear beeping, it's her phone.
Yeah.
And then also we're in the downtown area, so you might hear people talking. You might hear folks coming into the store. You might hear a truck rumble by. So we apologize for any extra sounds, but it's a working studio. So
yeah.
So anyway, I'll draw, she poses, and then we talk about something art related. And today, it's gonna be, this episode's for December, and we're in the middle of this holiday rush thing, and it very much feels like just a cash grab from every company on the planet, right? Like everybody's looking to like make as much money as they possibly can in a short amount of time, which is, I get it, that's just what Christmas is, but it's also getting to be a drag.
Isn't that sad that that's just what Christmas is?
You just have to accept it.
Shell out money or
yes.
grab for money or whatever.
So, sorry, did you start up?
We'll do a 2-minute.
Okay.
Quick
So I've been thinking a lot about, and also with my work, it's a fact that I just make a lot of stuff in terms of like the art I produce tends to be made into products to sell. So I've been thinking a lot about money and how it relates to my work. And I guess my question for you this week or this month is money linked to success in art? I know it's kind of a dirty word, but I mean, we have to be honest about the market. And should we pursue it more aggressively? Because we know that, time and again, the work is monetized whether we like it or not. And often artists, sometimes even in their own lifetime, will see their work go for astronomical sums. And it's the second or third buyer, and they're not in on that, Although there are some, we can talk about royalties that are sometimes paid out, but normally the artist doesn't benefit from all those crazy art sale numbers you see, that make the headline news every so often.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, artists really cheer for a lot of people, a lot of artists, a lot of projects, a lot of missions, and we don't really get cheered for.
Yeah, this is true.
We really don't have people going, fuck yes, artists.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for you guys. That just doesn't really happen for us most of the time. Like, there's like the lucky person or the random like situation or whatever. But I think en masse, maybe I'm being too pragmatic about it. But for me, I see in this time of our human saga that like the artist is not championed.
Yeah. I mean, we need a save the whales type of marketing slogan. So,
what is that thing you shared the other day? You're like, buy some art and save the crazy.
Oh God, it's a quote.
Person.
Yeah, it's a quote from this artist John Otto, and he just writes graffiti, and he just writes, "Buy art, save a crazy person."
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe. Oh, I'm wondering just now, like, is our weird mad rush culture, what's in vogue, whatever, get attention, weird narcissism shit that's happening in society, is it like making humanity want to avoid the crazy person?
That's a good question.
Creative type,
Yeah, I mean,
like, oh, I don't know what's going on there, better stay away.
Yeah. I mean, anything that's kind of gross and icky, people are funny about, even if it's that gross, icky thing as a person, right? And I'm saying that as an artist, but you know what I mean? Like,
gross, icky artist.
Well, God, I hate to admit it, right? But like, I will often, like, non-artist friends will point out, like, oh man, the art students always look like they're so bummy, and we were, like, frankly, right? Like,
yeah.
So I get it, and we're always covered in paint or covered in graphite or charcoal dust.
We're like that mess in the corner of the room no one wants to notice.
Yeah, but also like every so often does something cool, so people want to like not completely get it out of the room.
Well, I'm going off the deep end, but that makes me think of this awesome art documentary I saw ages ago. It's called Beauty is Embarrassing.
Oh.
And it's like
That's
a
great
documentary
title.
about some artist, he's like a famous dude. I don't remember what his name is, but just look up Beauty is Embarrassing.
I will.
And it's a cool documentary, but the concept has stayed with me for at least 15 years. And it's just this notion of, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, but like making something beautiful is an embarrassing, awkward, uncomfortable process.
True.
Artists are always embarrassed to show something they see as beautiful because it's claiming, I think this is beautiful.
Right.
I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
And even just making that statement is a bold...
You're kind of vulnerable.
Yeah, you're putting your heart on your sleeve and like...
Yeah.
And that's awkward and uncomfortable, and some people have like... I'm learning this in my personal life about like avoidant people, but avoidant people are like, oh God, feelings, ugh.
Yes.
And so I think that happens in the art world too. I think people who aren't artists or aren't educated about art or who have emotional issues or are repressed or whatever are like, someone's going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to deal with that.
And now I get to say whether it is or not, and then say you're crazy. For
you're crazy, you're weird, you're icky.
God, this is so interesting.
Or maybe I'm just projecting that you're icky because I feel icky around emotion or art or beauty.
It's, oh my God.
I just went off the deep end.
No, this is great. This is why I love talking about this stuff with you, because I was thinking in terms of, should we be pursuing money within our lifetime? instead of saying no, we're pure artists, the money doesn't matter, but you only get one life.
Yeah, right.
So if someone's gonna benefit from your art, shouldn't it be you?
Yeah.
And
100%.
now, yeah, but now we're like in a totally different space that's very related.
I'm sorry.
No. But I think this is almost more interesting because, like recently, I was telling my kids how I posted this video, and some person responds like, "It's kind of creepy that you draw naked women, but I guess it's pretty good."
Such a weird statement.
Right, and I thought, are you serious? I usually just delete this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, because I almost commented, because I'm like, yeah, I'm the creepy one for doing the thing that like every artist ever has always done forever and ever.
Forever and ever. Yeah.
So I went and looked at the person's profile, and it's like a kid. It was a kid that was like, I guess he's a furry, so he only showed himself with his animal mask persona.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, this is just a kid. They just think, yuck.
Yeah.
That's weird that you're looking at like naked people. And we've talked about this on the show before, like so yeah, this is really interesting.
That's
so
interesting too with the kid. We were just talking about this off the show.
Yeah.
About like
the generational differences with art and everything. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everything's connected.
It
Anyway,
is.
but I guess what I'm trying to look at is like 100% we should be as artists aiming for benefiting from making that our lifestyle.
Right.
And I think that culturally we need to return to educating about the value of the artist and what the artist brings to culture. And at the same time, it's like I understand that there's so many people who have an issue with beauty and embarrassment and discomfort. I mean, hell, people don't even like change because it's uncomfortable.
It's true. Jeez. Damn.
I feel like I'm not answering any questions.
No, but I think there's something to this because I have been, I've been an illustrator a long time, and I've realized that like every time I talk to, I've stayed out of the world in some ways. Like I did not go to a lot of shows, and I've only recently started hitting more conventions. And every time I go, I like learn something that I should have learned 20 years ago. And part of it is the embarrassment of we don't talk about things as artists, right? We don't. Yeah. Like it's only been recently that I think artists are more open to talk about things like their rates or what they sell work for. Partly because I think it's finally out in the public because people are selling more and more online, so it's unavoidable. Yeah. But I mean, even as of last week, like I reached out to another artist and just said like, hey, this is my rate. What is yours? I mean, I was more delicate about it than that. Sure. But I realized like that's a thing I never did, and I'm realizing that it hasn't benefited me one iota, but it has benefited the folks we work for. And I'm not picking on any one company. Every company that we all work for in any industry benefits from us not knowing what everybody else is being paid, right? Yes. Like, I saw a person's post where they said they were talking about this line of, well, the salary is competitive. And their response was, well, if it's so competitive, then tell me what it is. Why are you keeping it a secret, right? So I think your embarrassment thing ties into that. Like, absolutely. We don't want to admit that like the money is important to us for some reason as artists because it's poo-pooed, right? Like it's not. No one respects that artist when people think, oh, he's just in it for the money. Although any artist that says that they don't care about money is lying, right? 100%. Like, how do you make more art if you don't live, right? Yeah. Like so.
Well, and I think that like that slowly seems to have been more and more artists, hell, even non-artists, are like slowly sort of trying to reveal the myth of that, the bullshit in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good and really healthy. But you might even be right in like even just artists who are kind of making stuff for one-off private clients. Like if none of these people really understand our rates or why they are what I am not actually.
Oh, sorry.
You want to do another 2 or 5?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do 2.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I saw you standing in one position. I'm like, oh shit, should I be drawing? Okay.
But like private clients not even understanding, what our rates, why they are the way they are, what like anything in the process of commissioning somebody.
Correct.
It doesn't serve the artist to. It doesn't serve artists that they don't know and they have like, well, why can't it be cheaper? Or can I negotiate you down?
Right.
So the more, I like that you're kind of just talking to other artists going, what's your rate? Like, let's just talk about it. Shop talk, really.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten a response from the one particular
really?
guy I reached out to.
Is it sort of like
I think it's what you're saying. It's like, this is kind of yucky. I don't like how this feels. Even though I'm like, dude, I know you're making plenty good money.
Yeah.
Like you're not embarrassed because of, you're not making enough. It's just the cultural part of it, I guess it's kicking in, and it feels gross.
I feel like on the whole that the art world is massively, in many, many ways all at once, like in a kind of revolution.
Yes.
And I wonder if maybe instead of the word successful, like you prompted, we need to be thinking as artists and the movers and shakers of culture, maybe we should be thinking of it in terms of the word power.
Yeah.
Not like greedy.
No, I know what you mean.
Power, but like, we need to be more empowered.
Yeah, like this stuff is coming from us. We have all the leverage in the world.
Yeah.
And they kind of hate us for it, right? It's I think why things like AI are so popular with a certain kind of person, because they feel like these artists have been, I've literally seen guys talk about artists have been gatekeeping skills, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
When like we're all going, hey, here's like this show, here's how to draw this, here's how to do that. It's such nonsense.
Yeah, because we want to share everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But they see it as gatekeeping because they don't have access to it because they haven't spent time.
Right. They haven't invested.
Right. And so to me it's like these incel dudes. Like, why don't chicks dig me? Why aren't these chicks just dating me? Like, cause you're a dickhead and you're not trying, man.
Right. You're not investing your energy in effort. Yeah.
So they see it as like we're just an impediment to just give me the thing.
Oh my gosh.
I could be crazy.
It's like a grand war between give it to me now, instant gratification, and no, effort, skill, investment, quality.
Right. Why do I have to try?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do I have to sweet talk you and take you to dinner and that would just give it to me? Yeah. It's.
And like the artists are the ones being like, you know what? Cultural revolution, quality, slowing down, valuing this shit.
How about a loneliness episode? Epidemic, how about that? How about that instead? You get nothing.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's so great. That is so interesting.
Okay.
Cool thoughts.
All right, you're posing, I'm assuming.
I'm posing.
Right? Okay, yeah.
This is a 5-minute.
Okay, thank you. There's something going on, and the money thing has been just it's the symbol, right? It's the thing that like, it's easy to go, well, that person sells, that's success, and now how do we get to that thing? And I think that's why it feels ugly. When I think more of us should just be kind of pissed off, like.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And also I still run across this all the time, and I try to talk whenever I can about like artists, share. There's no need to keep things secret. You're not hoarding your talent, your tips or your tricks, because everyone's gonna, even if someone takes something from you, they're gonna do it differently than you. So like just be generous with your skill and your knowledge, and let people take it where they can. But I think artists specifically, are still I think it's bullshit that artists have been convinced by non-artist world that we need to be competitive with one another.
Right.
I understand that I'm saying that to someone who works in comics in DC. And
it's a very competitive business, but no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because when the person's your competitor, you're scared to give them an edge. And so sharing feels like giving them an edge. Versus just admitting that like it's God, it sounds terrible, but there is a little bit of a us versus them thing. And it's not because they're being evil.
No.
Companies have a responsibility to shareholders and bosses and everything else to make a profit. Like that, they're not doing anything wrong in that regard by like pursuing things and trying to get as much for their money as they can.
Yeah,
Because
within
we all
that
do
paradigm,
that.
right?
Right? Like if you're going to hire a plumber and the same plumber, you get two different plumbers and one gives you a better quote, but the work is not substantially like different, you're probably going to go with the cheaper plumber. That's just, I get that.
Yeah.
What frustrates me is that, and I've said this to, I have another podcast and we talk a lot about the business of illustration and art.
Yeah.
And the need for, in that world, agency. And having an agent sometimes means, in my mind, having an interpreter, having a person, like, because the publishers, the film studios, they're all speaking money. And we don't speak the language.
Yeah.
So we need a person that, like, we understand it sort of basically, but not enough to, like, negotiate. So you need a person who speaks money to go, hey, dumbass, if you sign that, that means you give them this right and that right, and you don't have to. You can.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Right. That's so true as well. But I mean, even just on the smaller scale for me, I would love for artists to be less
Scared.
sort of, well, petty and passive aggressive with one another.
It's because they're scared, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely coming from fear. But like, hey, even something as tiny as liking someone else's work publicly, like just fucking like their work.
Yeah.
Like you're not giving them a one up against you.
No.
If you go, your work's awesome. I hope you do well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Honest to God. Yeah. No, it's. I knew of. I had this friend that worked for this animator. It was a big deal back in like the 90s. His name was Bill Plimpton. And he did, if you saw his stuff, you would recognize it from like MTV and stuff.
Okay.
So this friend of mine worked for him, and on Bill Plimpton was famous for like, he just outworked everybody. He would draw a feature animated film by himself with just a handful of assistants.
Wow.
And when I say assistants, I don't mean people like were drawing things for him.
Yeah.
They were literally like, I remember this friend of mine, one of the things he was trying to figure out, the reason we were talking was he needed to digitize all of Bill's pencil drawings. So they were like putting them onto a Wacom tablet and like retracing them all.
Right.
And I was telling him like, dude, that you're adding a step, you could do it this other way.
Yeah.
But I asked him about how, Bill has stayed independent and done all these things. And he says how, Bill has all his information on his website, all his agents, his distribution companies, like everything's there.
Oh, transparency.
Yeah, and no one did that kind of stuff then.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And his thinking was like, here's all the ingredients because it doesn't matter. You're not going to take anything from me because I'm still going to outwork you probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's right. There hasn't been another Bill Plimpton, right? There's not another person going, fuck it, I'm going to draw a feature film by myself like a psychopath.
Well, see, and that I want to make this clear that you can have that kind of generosity towards your fellow creatives or even just fans, and simultaneously at the same time you can also own your power and your strength, and you can be like, hey, it's not anything against you, I just know what I'm capable of, and I know that I have my own vision, and so if I'm sharing my ingredients with you, you're going to put them together in a different way, and I don't have to be insecure about that.
Right.
And I want all of us to level up in that way.
Yes. Because it's not, look, anybody that's ever followed a recipe knows.
Yeah.
I can give you the recipe.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're me now.
Right.
Right? So.
Exactly. And honestly, I wish people understood owning that is like, that's the self-confidence we need. Yeah. Like having the belief in yourself to be like, you're never going to be me. Not out of like bullshit ego, but just.
Right, and you're not going to take my spot, my money, there's plenty to go around.
Plenty to go around.
Let's all build a thing that all of us can benefit from.
Yes.
Because the gallery owners have. Yes. Right, the collectors all have. Like these guys are buying art like it's a stock, right? There's an app where you can buy a percentage of a painting. Right, so they have all organized and figured it out. Why don't we get organized? Yes. It started to sound communistic, but I don't mean it to. But it's a fact, right? The people who are going to complain about us deciding, like, fuck it, we need a system, are the ones that have their own systems that have been benefiting from art and the sale of art. and the corrupting of the sale of art. Let's be perfectly frank, right? There's a lot of hidden money in fine art. So.
Oh my God, yes. Should I do another 5?
Sure, if you're comfortable. Yeah.
I started.
Oh, sorry.
No, I completely agree with that, and I think that at the heart of that is like a revolution of just artists. Let's own our abilities. Let's own our place in this world, and let's
get this money. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
absolutely. Like, let's get organized as a society of people who are like. If you're a creative person, you get it. So can we just appreciate if another creative person, like they get it? Like, we're not enemies.
Right. And let's remind, because I've been very fortunate, and I hate seeing like my friends who are super talented struggling. And it's always financially, right? It's always I hate it, but it's always, like, oh man, I gotta sell this thing I need to make rent, or I need to make my mortgage, or I need whatever.
Yeah.
And we've all done that. So it's there, there's no avoiding it. We may as well be the ones that are benefiting from all this stuff we're making.
Yes.
And there's no disrespect to like art collectors, because I'm not talking about fleecing people, right? Because I don't know that this is going to be news to anyone, but like if you buy pieces from a gallery, you're not buying at the price that the artist would have charged you.
No, right.
Right? It's the gallery person tacking on their percentages for their expertise or marketing or what have you.
Yeah.
And even then, often artists are on the hook for a lot of the marketing. I don't know what it is anymore, but it used to be.
Depends.
It used to be artists would have to pick up half the cost of postcards and things like that. I haven't done a gallery thing in forever, so. But the point is that we're talking about, if you have a thing of value, forget that it's art.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody out there that sold something knows there's a thing of value. This is the going price. That's what I'm going to charge.
Yeah.
Or that's what I should get at the other end of this transaction. And art and artists are the only ones that seem to be taken out of that normal process of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And expected that.
To keep producing the thing.
Expects that we should be not in that normal way of
doing
things.
Yeah.
Oh, it's art, so you don't, how about you be severely insecure about the value that you make?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Both, and insecure also in terms of your place in this entire business, because they also don't want you feeling like you're entitled. And I hate when I start saying they, because it sounds like
othering.
Yeah, and I don't want people who are listening to this going, "Am I the they?" And I'm not. I don't mean to do that. So forgive me. It's just kind of a colloquial way of talking about a group of people. But I just mean, like they're in on it, and all we're saying is maybe we should also be in on it.
Mm.
And you're right, as you said, sort of there's like a mini revolution happening, kind of slow motion. I think you're seeing more and more artists selling directly. There's still galleries, and I think there's still the prestige of getting into the gallery world, and
for sure.
But that system is so incredibly rigged and gross. Like, I would hear about just the wildest practices from, because although I'm an illustrator, my degree was in fine arts, so there was a lot of talk about how art is bought and sold. And it's like there's so many of these little goofy systems of rigging, like galleries will shamelessly say, okay, you want this painting, but you can't have it unless you also buy this other painting that then you donate to the Guggenheim. Not necessarily just hand it to them, but like you loan it to them. And now you get the prestige of saying, oh, look, my name, I have a piece in the Guggenheim that I own.
Yeah.
And then I, as the art dealer, can say to the next buyer, oh, this guy's hot, he's got a piece in the Guggenheim.
Yeah.
Like there's just all this wheeling and dealing happening that none of us know how to do.
Right.
Right?
And so we get taken advantage of
Right.
in the process.
Right. Because when that was explained to me, I was just thought like, that's impenetrable. What the hell hope would I have of trying to like get in on that?
Yeah, it's like psychological ramparts and portcullises.
Oh God, yes. How long have we been at this, by the way?
It's been about 30 minutes.
Okay, so we'll do another 10 or 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're feeling good, everything
I am,
good?
yeah.
Okay.
This heater is working great,
Okay, good.
so we're set.
Yeah, it's a treacherous thing, unfortunately. So anyway, to get to the point of the question, I guess, was it sounds like, yeah, we need to pursue money, and only because, not out of greed, but because it's there. Like there's no changing. We're not all of a sudden gonna wake up and there's gonna be an art market where we're like, I can go to the grocery store and trade art for like a week's worth of food.
Yeah, and this is something that's come up for me, and on a different subject, but someone was talking about how, we don't need to feel guilty for, as appropriately as possible, participating in the way that the world is currently functioning.
Yeah.
And we don't have to like participate and then that's the only option. Like we can be like, okay, the paradigm right now is money is involved.
Right.
And we can also, on our own time or in our own little ways, work towards shifting that, and changing that.
Right.
They can both coexist.
I think that's a great point. Like, I've had art dealers in the past. My previous 2 art dealers ago, because they don't
come and
always,
they go.
Yeah. So my previous art dealer, like I told him, I'm like, I don't want. Because we had this discussion. He's like, look, do you want me to price things to sell, or do you want, are you in a hurry, that kind of thing? And I said, I don't want them to just be given away, because I was new to trying to sell art, and I just didn't want to I didn't want to have a fire sale every month. But one of the things I told him is I also don't want to price out people who are genuinely just fans of my work.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so we'd have pieces that were a couple grand or a couple hundred,
Yeah.
and then pieces that were like, we literally had a section of stuff that was less than $100, because I thought,
Excellent.
yeah, I thought that I can't do much about changing the market, but if you're just a fan, I just want a piece of art from this person. I don't want the price to be an impediment, like, because there's plenty of people buying stuff looking to flip and make a profit from, or they love it, they have it in their collection, but ultimately they know it's still a commodity. But there are people that just want a piece to look at.
Yeah, right.
And so I tried to do that, and ironically, that stuff wouldn't sell.
Right.
Like the lower the price, the more it would sit in the galleries that this guy had set up. So it's a hard thing to figure out. I think the world is so used to art not being attainable that when you make it attainable, they just assume something's wrong with it, like it's a car or something.
Right. They totally second guess.
Yeah, it must be a lemon. There must be, the carburetor's gonna go out, or I guess there's no carburetor.
That's so true in my own experience too, and because I really appreciate the person, the individual who's like, I'd like some cool art for my little living room or whatever. Yeah. And it's just, they're not biting.
Excuse me, sorry.
Not to put it, that's a terrible way to put it.
No, I know what you mean. No, but I had a professor who was getting into portrait painting, and he was amazing. Like, this guy worked for NASA.
Oh, wow.
As part of the history department, where he would just have him paint historical events, and he did the portrait of the 7 astronauts that passed away on the space shuttle.
Okay.
Was it Challenger? Anyway, and that's up in the Capitol building. Like, I got to see that. He's very successful, but for a while there, early in his career, he was trying to get into portrait painting, which is there's a lot of money in it. Like, those things go now probably for 6 figures to 7, and you do 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do a bunch of them. And this guy this is years ago, so the amount was very modest. It was like, I don't know, like let's say 10 grand. And he couldn't get any buyers of his work. And now, admittedly, these are wealthy people that get these things, right? Like you got to have a lot of money to drop to want a painting of yourself up in your living room or whatever.
Right.
And so he went to a friend of his who's a successful portrait painter, and he says, "What am I doing wrong?" He's like, "Your price is too low. Like these people don't want a bargain."
Yeah.
Right. So he's like, "Double your price," and he doubled it, and he had to start turning people away because there were too many, and nothing changed. The artist was the same. The work would have been the same.
Yeah.
But that perception of like money equals value was keeping people from paying less for a painting.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing to wrap your head around until you start thinking of them as luxury goods.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing artists don't do well.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
That's like psychologically hard for us.
None of us think, hey, I just made a Gucci bag.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like we just drew it, whatever, I'll throw this. I have literally a pile of sketchbooks like this one.
Right.
Full of drawings. That there's not another one.
Right.
It's just that one. But we don't think anything of it. But if we were making luxury goods, those people would monetize every single solitary thing coming out of their studio.
Well, I mean, we either don't think anything of it, depends on the process of making the thing.
Yeah.
Or we're like, oh my God, blood, sweat, and tears, drama, tragedy. Like, I don't know if anyone's gonna, appreciate it the way I do, kind of thing.
Right. Or no one cares about me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm working here in the slums. I'm so poor. Like it's we are investing too much in the work, or sorry, let me rephrase that. We're investing too much of ourselves and our identity in the work, and not enough investing in the value of it as a thing. And so
that umbilical cord.
Yeah, like I could care. I mean, like I have actually looked at the piles of sketchbooks and going like, why aren't I selling these things? Like I need to get this stuff out of the studio because I produce so much.
Piles up. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't think of ourselves as making a luxury good, and unfortunately, that's part of the pricing issue whenever you're making art, right?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I don't know. All right, how much time do we have left here?
It is 11:40 or 39, almost 40, 11:40.
Oh, I'm sorry. How long have we been at it?
About 40 minutes. We started a little after 11.
All right, so we'll do one more and call it a day. All right.
5.
Okay.
And that's more about, beauty is embarrassing, art is uncomfortable, get comfortable with discomfort, kind of like the artists themselves being... I struggle with that, absolutely, like what is too low, what is too high, what is the right percentage up from that, where am I at, what is the... And also, I've learned in my time about how, you have to price appropriately to similar quality artists to
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that's really challenging if you don't know a lot of artists that are similar to the quality of your own work.
Right.
Can you even judge your own work appropriately based on how it compares to other artists' work?
Yeah.
And then, we also have to talk to other artists and say, what you did, what's your rate? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on there? And if artists were less insular in their secrets or in their insecurities around not knowing what their secrets are,
Honestly,
then if we could talk more with each other and be a little bit more supportive of, hey, you just want to get some relatable info from me so that you can kind of hone your process, and I'm all in support of that, and let's do that.
Yeah. And even if I lead with, here's my rate, like I try to start with, like, hey, I'm not hiding anything, here's what, it's too bad. And often we price things from a point of ignorance, but also from a point of desperation. Like, oh, this isn't selling, I need to drop the price, I'll make you a cupcake if you buy this drawing or whatever. And it's unfortunate. And again, that goes back to this kind of retail mindset of like, well, I made a commodity, I need to now sell it. as opposed to like a luxury good that retains its value.
Right.
And yes, people will resell it.
Yes.
But along that line, everyone will make a little money, right? The original person, I'm going to stick with handbags. The original person that made an overpriced handbag made a lot of money because they have their artisans and they have their craft, and you know, people find value in that. But then if you resell them, you know, those people are making money. So that market exists where you don't have to be like predatory of the person making the thing at the bottom.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if we will get, I mean, I think the successful artists figure that out pretty fast in terms of the fine art and get there and it works for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's hard to convince people that you have that kind of intrinsic value in your work.
Yeah.
Because our culture doesn't, going back to previous discussions, our culture doesn't tell people that, you know.
Yeah, and first, in order to tell others that, we have to own that for ourselves.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
And believe that truly, but.
And it's hard to do, especially with, you know, bills and
Yeah.
family responsibilities and stuff. I mean, God, art history is full of, especially women who just didn't get their due in their lifetime, and now their stuff is collectible, and you know, no one in their family is going to benefit from it. It's all gone. It sucks. Now there are some places, I believe France has a law in the books where an artist gets a percentage of resales of their work, but you know, it's easily skirted. You just I'll take it over to Germany and sell it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh
like.
My gosh.
And we don't have anything like, I mean, I didn't like NFTs.
No.
But one of the things they did get right, and I don't want to get beat up in the comments, I'm not pro NFT, but one of the things they did get right was the selling point for artists was that you got royalties because you had a way of tracking it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
every time one of those things resold, artists got a check. Not literally, but you know what I mean.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Metaphorically. That's funny.
Authors get that with royalties. There's just no way to do that. God, and it's even worse when like people buy the rights to your art.
Yeah.
So now they can make stuff and put your stuff. So, you know, it happens all the time. I mean, it was some, I don't know if they're still the owners. This was like when I was still in art school 100 years ago, but some, I believe like a Japanese company or organization bought the like rights for the Sistine Chapel or something. So they paid for part of the restoration or something, and then you know, started to put images on products.
Yeah.
Now, you know, he's long gone. I'm not worried about him. But my point is that market is there for making stuff by just buying the rights to the art, not even just the physical art.
Right.
So there's a lot of money to have to worry about. Anyway, hopefully you folks found something interesting in that discussion, and it wasn't all over the place for you. It feels like a thing we should probably revisit.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more there to that.
Yeah.
Or if we said anything or touched on anything that you want us to elaborate on or explore more, please let us know.
That is actually a great point. I would love to hear the input from patrons on both sides.
Yeah.
To like, what does any of this stuff mean to you? Do you make stuff that you have trouble finding a market for? I have a friend that knits like little figures, but literally knits them around a skeleton.
Oh.
And she told me once how much time she spends on them,
Yeah.
and versus what she can get for them. And it's like, it's impossible to make. I mean, she spends dozens and dozens of hours per figure. Even if you charge by the hour, she'd probably get like a nickel. I mean, it's just, you know, it's crazy. So we'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
It'd be great. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a patron. If you're not a patron, consider it. The links to both of our Patreons are below. You can get the show on either one. Mairin-taj is also offering tons of like instructional videos and some modeling resources if you want to start drawing.
If you want to see me drawing, I have some drawing demos online, but also a lot of figure art reference.
Yeah. So thank you, and thanks to folks at Curio for hosting us. Thanks to Blackwing, and we'll see you guys next month.
In the new year.
Oh my God, yeah. We'll have a new president and everything.
Oh, yeah.
At least here in the United States. If you're not in the United States, lucky you.
Yes.
All right, bye.
It's just about